Welcome to Shapify Experiences, a media web podcast. 1 year later, we have here the opportunity to talk with Ricardo Luiz, and we have him today again.
Hello.
Thank you, Ricardo, for being here again.
Thank you for having me. Yep.
Yeah, so last year we have a great conversation here about user experience in this age of AI. I remember, for example, that we were talking about the concept of the iceberg, like the user interface, like if the top of the iceberg is the user interface and all of the rest, backend, etc., and like if he's increasing the back part and reducing the top. So in this year, things are changing so fast. Since there until now, what changed?
It's interesting. So I'm having flashbacks of 1986, maybe, because I'm seeing a full circle that 40 years later, we are interacting with computers the same way I did in 1986, which is, for me, it's just ridiculous, right? So we were talking about the iceberg, the visibility of the interface that was going to get smaller and smaller because people would just abstract of all the complexity behind the systems and they would just ask questions, they would just interact very organically with the system. And now we have more and more people interacting with the command line.
Yeah.
And that for me is like really surprising because last year when we last spoke, I was like, okay, I'm really excited to see where this is going, how the interactions are going to happen. And all of a sudden we are seeing people really excited about things like Cloud Code and CloudBot and all of that. I was like, oh man, that's like interacting with the Unix or a Linux machine. I was like, oh, okay. I see the power. So for the power users, that makes sense. But the buzz is all about that. But if we step back a bit and think about the majority of everyone in the world, that's not how people are going to interact with AI. Okay?
Yeah, it's a transitional. You were saying that, and I remembered some of our designers, our actually designer, he's trying so much the cloud code, but in the terminal, and. Going back to the iceberg, it's like the iceberg that's disappear. The iceberg, okay, is the terminal. It's like the basic way of interaction with a computer.
For me, it's really funny because if I remember, man, even stuff like War Games, the movie, then, man, that's all they did. They had the command line to interact with this very complex machine. And it seems like
just get back to the basics.
40 years later, we are doing the same thing over again. It's like something is definitely broken in the experience. So for the power users, I do understand it. Maybe we don't have a better way to do it. But for the end user, and I'm still a big believer of the iceberg analogy that we discussed last year. And I'm still very excited to understand what are the interactions that we'll see moving forward. Right? And we've been doing some things very interesting for that matter.
Yeah, it's like I think the terminal is like really the basics. Like we get back really to the basics, but is in a transitional phase. During some time we get back to the basics until we understand how will be the things in the future. And as you're saying, is not the majority of the users that will use the terminal. Is just the curious ones that are trying, but it need to appear and it need to appear in some cases exist also already some new. But the voice, for example, is something that is more and more being used, I believe. Even in the prompting, I'm seeing a lot of people that are using systems that is prompting-based systems, but they are using voice to talk instead of texting.
I'm seeing that as well, but I'm still not convinced about the voice part. If you're doing it on your own, that makes sense. Maybe you want to do it, maybe you don't want to. Because you speak more naturally than you actually write, so you don't lose stuff that way. But if you're interacting with other people around you, I don't know if you want to be speaking to a machine all the time. So Yeah, I still have my doubts
depends
about
on so much of the environment.
the environment.
Like,
The context is really key
yeah.
to.
Yeah, for example, in the office, if you are 10 people in the office, it will not be each one of us talking to the computer. Yeah, it will be strange.
That would be a nice movie. To people, everyone, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So, are we in a call center? Oh, no, we're just developing stuff.
Yeah, the context of talking is much more like, okay, I was doing things on my computer. I just left the computer.
Yeah.
I just went walk outside, and I have my phones, and I can still talk.
Yeah.
To keep interacting with some things.
That's a brilliant one, because I do remember that most of my aha moments, it's when I'm running, I'm walking. So if I had the chance to immediately interact with the system, that would be amazing.
I just saw some weeks ago a news about one guy that was making software, kind of software, was using like vibe coding tools, and he just did the thing that he went to run a half marathon or something like that, with the objective to creating a software while doing this. So it was news about around him, because he went with the things that he needed to, like a nice micro, maybe, I don't know if it was a tablet or something, for him to be able to seeing what was happening while doing it. He was running and talking and creating the software. So he did a software. I don't know exactly what it was. Probably don't need to be something very complex, or so. Like how much time he might run, 2 hours at least, depending on the
half a marathon for sure.
Velocity. So in 2 hours, it's possible to do something quite already extensive with vibe coding while running.
Yeah, but I think we have a lot of stuff that are popping up nowadays, like agents just became a thing. So last time we spoke, agents were just nascent, were just showing up. And all of a sudden you have not just an agent or a couple of, you have armies of agents being used. Everyone talks about skills and this and that. But I still haven't identified a great use case. Well, we have identified great use cases for agents, but we haven't seen great implementations of agents yet on client-facing, on a user-facing interface. So you do have people orchestrating and building up almost like hubs of agents to work for them. I haven't seen great implementations of what agents can actually do to personalize and customize interactions for each and every one of us.
Okay. About the user interface.
Yeah. Because I think that's one of the potentials that I saw with agents, with agentic, and with Gen AI, is that you would be in the world that every single interaction would be for you. Right?
Personalized.
So it's highly personalized, highly customized for you. And we haven't seen that, right? And we've been doing some stuff together for a couple of customers, a couple of clients. And I'm really excited to see how this, having an agent, orchestrating the UI, providing that piece of content that makes sense for that person that is doing that interaction at that given moment, that's exciting, right?
Yeah. So it's instead of having like a vibe coding tool that you vibe code what you want to have the software, it will be even more dynamic. Like there is no vibe code. The system just is not defined. The system just define itself depending on the user that the user and the need. Right, like you just launch in a page, and when you launch in that page, the system have some context. Maybe you are in the minimum that the user will have is your IP address, so it gives you a sense of a location. So it's already something. But if you'll be login or something like that, and depending on the place that you land, there are much more contexts that can be that can exist, and then the interface will be just personalized for the person and for the objective of that person. I love
to think about that as the concierge experience, right? So everyone now should be allowed to have a highly luxe experience, because it's going to be tailor-made for you. It's going to be bespoke, because you have access to every single bit of information out there. You can have context about you. So that entity knows your preferences, will guess quite accurately what are your next moves or what would be the intention of the next move that you're going to make. So that's exciting. And this is something that we've been actually trying to help some customers to achieve, is that how can you have an agent that orchestrates everything in the backend, as we were discussing the other day, but providing in the interface something that is unique. Okay, and that is the surprising moment for everyone, is that if you see that now, you don't have that generic vanilla experience because everyone is going to the same sites, doing the same things, but you can actually ask your own questions in your own language, and you'll have this concierge that is completely abstract of everything else, but just provides you the right thing. Yeah, that's one of the key things.
Yeah, and Google, I remember that we were exploring in that interactions that Google even released a paper about this kind of dynamic user interfaces, automatic user interfaces. The challenge that is still exists, I think, is the velocity. It's already possible. We did some tests about that, but the thing is not like you open a page and the page is very fast to open. In this case, the page need to generate the code in real time, so it take a little more time. It is possible while that to just make some time, like giving some things or asking some extra things to do the job while the user is already interaction with something. But I believe when we can get this in a faster way, it will unlock more possibilities.
But that's the magic of the user experience, right? So when we talked last year about this, and we discussed, I think, lengthy about the importance of the user experience, right? And why we had this strong belief that, okay, we have this very powerful technology with AI, with Gen AI, with agentic AI, but still, if we don't find the right way to orchestrate this, to showcase this technology to someone, then it's just a really powerful thing, but very disconnected from everything else. Right? So we do need to think about the situation, the context, and how do we provide that experience for someone that feels natural, that feels like you have that aha moment, you have that, you feel that you have that safety, that safe space to interact with the system, that you forget that you are interacting with the system. I think that for me, the metric is that when we build something that people forget that that's a system interacting with you, that they feel so natural that they get involved and emotional about it, that's where we made a good job.
Yeah, I believe so. The thing that you're describing, for me, there is two things there. One thing is getting easy and easier to develop the software. So the thing that is by getting easier, it became more relevant what you actually create. I'm seeing, and we have been having some calls with some clients that clients that are not developers, people that are not developers, that are creating amazing things, really good UI are already, things working, a lot of complex stuff, but most of the times we get I was saying two things, but now I'm getting three. The third one. One is this safe, and is this scalable?
We're getting a lot of those.
Is the platform that I did, it seems that work. This I don't see errors. I can do whatever I do, but when I put this in production, what will happen? Is this scalable?
Break it? Can someone access it, hack it?
Exactly. This is one concern that I'm seeing with this kind of vibe coding platforms, not done by developers. Like anyone can do it. The second thing is actually the user experience. Like, okay, they did things, and a lot of times is missing pieces. A lot of times the thing is working, but when you put real users using that, there are things that maybe don't make too much sense, or lack of functionalities that users are expecting, or just get blocked in some situation. So and even internally, like we have some tools that we are doing internally that we can do it, and we stop because we don't know what to do. we just we can do things fast. We have one person dedicated to do things, but what is the next thing that we need to do? And once again, the user experience helps defining that. Like the thing that we will do or need to do, it need to be something that is useful, and to be useful, we really need to understand the need of the users, the necessities. And just to finish, the third one is the other side of the AI. Like the part of using AI to build the thing is the system itself can be intelligent also and can have AI, but I will use AI for what? That is related also to the user experience.
To use AI in that perspective. Yeah, I'm seeing the same, Nelson. And one cool thing that we see is that with tools like Lovable, and well, I'm biased because I'm an ambassador. I'm Lovable ambassador, so I'm really biased. But I start working with Lovable maybe when they first launched, like a year ago.
Before Lovable was GPT. No, I forgot the name. It was a very if you go to the GitHub post of the it's still there somewhere the old name.
The old name. Yeah,
it's not GPT. I will remember.
We'll get there. But Lovable, I started using it since the beginning. I think since day one, even maybe. So because I belong to this community that we started to doing stuff with Microsoft, and it was just an AI-driven community to experiment and break things. And as soon as we got our hands on Lovable, it was like, we have to experiment. But what we are seeing with these tools is that they are great to enable people, and it's actually it seems like a liberation movement that we have now, because anyone, you don't have to be a technical person, you can develop an application, and that's amazing. Right? But what I think people are getting it wrong is that people are looking at these pieces of technology like if they were in the Hogwarts movie, right? So they think they have the magic wand, they can say some magic words and something magic happens. And it does happen, but most of the cases...
What is the magic words?
It's a vanilla generic version of whatever you asked the AI to implement. And the challenge is that the AI has to kind of guess what your intentions are, where you're trying to go, what you are trying to achieve. So what it's missing is the first leg of the process, which is distilling exactly what it is that you want to achieve, what is the problem that you're trying to solve, and again, giving some directions, giving some structure, so the AI can look at it and fully understand, okay, so this is what you want to implement. So these are the personas that you want to serve, and these are the things that you want to make sure that don't get broken in the process. Now I get it. And now I can provide something, not vanilla, but again, highly personalized towards the solution that you're trying to get. And this is something that we are seeing. Again, the example one of the examples that you were mentioning probably was one of the customers that reached out to us, and we were saying, okay, they had the full design of the thing, right? But as soon as you and me start asking questions, because we are pain in the necks, we ask a lot of questions, we started asking questions. But what happens when you do this? What happens when you do that? What happens when you go there? And they were like, okay. I
didn't thought on that.
Yes.
I think we listened that a lot of time.
We need a status for that. You're right.
And by the way, in that example, we actually received from the client the design.
Yep.
Normally, this doesn't happen. This doesn't happen. Often we just have an idea.
And that's why I think it's a great example. They had the full blueprints, so they thought.
It's designed, so I need the budget to create this.
Yeah.
But there are so many details that in this case we're missing, and the interactions. This takes us to other point. Actually, it is a service that we just are exploring now in MediaWeb. That is the MVP, creation of MVPs with AI. or because now things are mixed also, like we have now designers that are making code and we have developers that are making design, because designers instead for example the Figma itself have the make, so the main users of Figma is designers, so the designers now are using make to create code, and by creating code they are prototyping something to create a design, but in code. But at the same time, the front-end developers, they are doing the same thing. They are vibe coding stuff, but now that they can do it faster, they need to define requirements, so they are designing also the system. So these two personas are getting more close to each other. What I was saying this, because of the proof of concept, in that example that we were talking, the way that we solved that to just get that answers fast were just to vibe code the thing that they wanted. And by vibe coding, we have a prototype that actually works, so we can do lots of interactions in a very small time, with a big advantage that was not possible with the design. That is, in a design I can make a prototype, and in that prototype I create a project, and I go inside the project, and I log work. But the prototype just log that work. The vibe coding allow us to create one project, two projects, three projects, log work in the first and second and the third, and validate much more things at the same time.
And you can demo it to your potential customers, to your prospects, to your potential investors, and then it's a very customized. Again, for me, it's always that customization piece that is always on top of my head when we think about this type of technologies, that now we get ourselves freed from the fixed that we get from the design, because it was just whatever we designed, and then we can connect. It was already mind-blowing at the time, but probably this was 10 years ago. That was mind-blowing. Nowadays, mind-blowing is that we take us like 2, 3, 4 weeks at the most, and you have a very complex system prototyped enough that you can actually put a new instance, set up a new environment, and then you can build stuff from scratch as the client is seeing it for the first time, and you say, okay, can you give me an example? Okay, and then you build the structure in front of the client. It's like, wow, is that possible? And it is. That's
for example, the screen of the Gantt part of the project that is actually in this project also. One of our colleagues, like, there was the need to show a project, project of a construction that have lots of things in lots of persons or companies doing things over time, and one thing affects all of the others and delay things, and etc. And we could actually have that user interface working even with the delays, etc. But if just designing that will be hard. Designing that manually, and the vibe code help us, and in that case was necessary to do something in the code. We help also the AI on that, but it was amazing how fast we could make it.
Because nowadays commodity is doing that, putting something, working with actual code. It's being commoditized. So what the vibe coding tools have brought to the market, what have brought to the top of the table, is that this is now a commodity. It's no longer the differentiator. So it's, I'm faster than everyone else. No, everyone else is doing quite the same. What we are seeing is that this gives us the potential and the opportunity to innovate. And this is something that you can do without analyzing and scratching your brain a little bit, and then having, you may have an AI sidekick to kind of brainstorm some stuff. But if we look at everything that these AI tools are still able to do, they are able to provide us with some solutions, provide us with some examples, some guidance, but true innovation, in the sense that we want to break the mold. Right? We really want to make something that is not seen before. This is something that still is not possible with these tools. Okay? So for me, the biggest differentiator for us is that we can, and this is part of what we do, is that we can really push people now, because, Design, we can spend a lot less hours doing design. Code, we can spend a lot less hours doing code. So what's left? And I hear this question a lot. So wow, what's left? So we are becoming unemployed and it's out of the job. And I say, you are not seeing the full picture, because now we can actually invest that time that we had before to actually do the implementation and design work to do the innovation part. Okay, because if we ask those silly hard questions at the beginning and we start extracting what is the real value that we want to take from that operation, it allows us to experiment very rapidly on some concepts just to see, okay, is this something, okay? So we understand it, and then we can think about what would be a very new, different way to do this. Not because of the sake of doing something new, but can we have a smarter way to actually solve this problem? And if the answer is yes, and we think about the concept, now we know that we are not as limited by the technology as we were just 2 years ago. And that's the moment, right?
And even the fact that we can make it faster also help in the innovation, because if you
make it, break it, make it, break it.
Exactly, it's not just the fact that we make it and it's done. The fact that we can make it faster, we test and change again and change it until get to the point that we wanted, or until get, or maybe we might be endless in interaction. Like ideally, there is always opportunity to improve, and the cycles of interaction will always happen. Maybe they will be smaller and smaller over time, but being easy to make the change, it will allow us to innovate more. But one part about that, when we actually have a system in production, things get more hard. Like making the prototype and do the things and the tests faster is very possible in our days. Even testing it already, after putting something in production, you start having something that is being used by the users. You have maybe the production environment, the developing environment, and this velocity of interaction have consequences. Like I cannot just change everything and then update and then delete part of the functionality or break the part of the data. So this is still a hard part.
Still part of the puzzle.
Yeah, in this case, I believe still, like mainly for enterprise software, OutSystems is still a very good solution on this, because it's much easier to maintain and evolve systems. Not just the prototype. It's actually something that we can change over time and update it, and they say the one-click publish and publish, and then move through environments with a visual in a visual way of understanding the flows instead of looking to the code. Is still a very, very big advantage, I believe, about OutSystems, because basically it's like if there is no code, we'll look to the flows instead of looking to the code. That in a vibe coding environment will be millions of lines easily if you keep prompting everything, and then no one will have time enough to validate everything
and to script it. Yeah, but that's a very valid point. But again, one of the things that I'm seeing with all this environment is that we can help people doing actually two things. So they are becoming more autonomous and exploring new concepts and trying out. So I always had this discussion 5 years ago about, for me, Agile was always broken, because the initial part of the process was actually Agile, but then as soon as we get to the development parts, we were still cascading. Right? Because we have to have the design before we start implementing, and then we were doing but we are one sprint ahead of the implementation, so we have that work. So it was broken because it was still cascading. It was waterfall. It was a lighter waterfall model, but it was still very waterfall. Nowadays, I think that we are in the right place to actually fulfill the promise of Agile and be truly Agile, that we develop, we test, we iterate, we develop, we test, we iterate. without having to have someone doing the actual work besides describing the business rules, besides understanding the real problems that they are trying to solve. And this is something that we are trying to do more and more with customers. And one of the challenges that I see is that as soon as you have the vibe coding tool being used to develop an initial concept, then we can actually come in and ask some more questions, some additional questions to see if there's a need to develop some stuff further. Or then we pass on to step number 2, which is, okay, now that we have this concept aligned and we have this working, it's a prototyping, an MVE, an MVP, whatever we want to call it, what happens next, right? That we have to have this foolproof, that we have to scale this, that we have to make sure that no one hacks and has access to the information of whatever the customers share with us in our platform. That's one of the challenges that I still think that we play a big role in as well, because we help shape the experience at the beginning, and then we can have the technical team shaping out how to leverage that, not remove it, but to leverage that vibe coding opportunity that you have, providing that piece of access to the technology still to the customer, but while in the back end doing all, it's almost like having a, my image in my head is always one of those cars that cleaning up the streets, and then you have one of those cleaners coming up and transforming and making sure that the structure is in the right place. I think that that's something that we've been seeing, that there's a need in the market for that. There's always that joke that, okay, you vibe code it and then you pay me $1,000 blah blah an hour just to fix it. It's not that I'm saying, is that we have people experimenting, building new things, and the exciting part is that we can come in and then making sure that that's the right experience, that okay, that makes sense for your audience, and then we can handhold you to go from prototyping and VE to the, okay, this is the enterprise grades final solution to the market.
Yeah, and at the end it saves time. Like I think the vibe coding in our days, and of course depend a lot on how you also vibe code it. The code that is being generated, it will be very. If you didn't change everything, and if you didn't put prompts that doesn't make any sense, and just confuses everything, and the code became a spaghetti. If you properly evolve your system and also make some checks while you vibe coding to understand if he understood and implement the code and database in a nice way, then passing that to a production ready became easier, and at the end we saved a lot of time. I think it's possible to save a lot of time too.
And we are talking about 2 different levels, right? So we are talking about that citizen developers level, that everyone will be able to access this and breaks and does the experimentation. People don't have to properly understand how the system works. They just need to talk with it, understand it, and then query it, and then they do this. And then you have the second layer of users of these types of technology, people that already understand the structure, already understand how it should be handled. And then, okay, if you are in that second level, you are already able to achieve something that is, well, maybe it's not enterprise ready, but it's very scalable, and it has a little bit of, well, you can do business already with that solution. And then you have the third level for me, which is, okay, how do we put this on an enterprise grade that doesn't break regardless the scale, right? And that's what we've been talking about, is that you have level 1, very cool, even for us to experiment. In the first stage with customers. You have level 2, which is, okay, you have a bit more disciplined people that are trying to build everything, and they'll probably start building a business. My feeling is that it gets to a point of complexity that they also are going to need a little bit of help. And then you have the pros, right? That they do understand how to take better advantage of all of this. And we've seen it, right? For me, the quote of last year was from that customer that we were talking about. And I still remember very vividly. After 3 weeks, no,
Less,
sorry,
was
after 2 weeks or something, because we
I think it was directly in the first meeting with him.
Yeah, first meeting, and we were showing just a result of 3 days of development or something like that, a vibe coding development, that is. And the customer was just mind blown at what he was seeing, because he was like, okay, this is actually code. So this is actually, so I can experiment myself. Okay.
Can I log in?
Can I log in? Yes, you can. Oh, can I create this? Yes, you can. Yes. And he was like, oh my God, you guys are F1s and I'm just a chariot on a horse. I'm super slow providing you with the answers that you're asking me, and you already developed this. So
remember he asked me, I will need some days to process
everything and to go over all the options and everything. And we were smiling because we were like, okay, so this is a job well done, because now we are able to make tangible something that was very abstract 3 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, that same person that 3 days ago, for like the last year and a half, only has a big design file with 2 decks to pitch the idea. He went from that to having a fully working initial draft prototype. Mm-hmm. But, oh my Lord, that worked! And he was able to create projects from the beginning, instances, start fulfilling everything, the Gantt view, as you said, and everything. So the change was so, and again, the trust that he has in the implementation was so big that he actually started to kind of book calls with potential partners. And when the partners saw what the tool was already able to do, they were like, oh, isn't this the final version of the thing? It's like, no, it's just a prototype, the draft prototype version of this. So that is the sweet spot, I think.
But is a prototype that is actually, instead of a Figma prototype that you just need to follow the flow that was designed, is a prototype that really hide to the possible customer, like he in this case he did some demos to the customers, and for the customer that is like the end software. There is no there is maybe some implementations that are not implemented, but that is in the roadmap. But the things that are working is possible to show, and is possible to put the data that they want to put, instead of this just work if I create a project this type and that option.
That's the transformational point. So that's one of the things that I think very possible with all of these agents and the vibe coding part and all of that. For me now, still, as we said at the beginning of the conversation, that's exciting because it provides with a very big initial push towards the right direction, and people are able to do this. We are able to do this with them, and they can see the transformation immediately. Mm-hmm. So we are talking about 2-3 weeks. You'll have a very complex system already built for you, so you can experiment. It's not perfect, it's not final, it's not scalable, but my Lord, it's going to be feasible to do some demos. You can do everything from there, right? So, and again, this is becoming a commodity, and we can help commoditizing this part of the things and leverage. For me, the next level is how can we help them to think about new and innovative experiences that were not possible 6 months ago, right? Because now we have that power. Because if we do have, and again, everything is changing every week. And we were just talking about 5.4 now is a thing. Like, oh my God. But yesterday was 5.3. So things are really, really, really moving forward really fast. So the challenge is not if you have a good understanding of the technology, that you should, is that can you have a good understanding what is able or what you are able to get and extract from the technology, so you can abstract it and use it in very different new ways. That's exciting.
Yeah, that is. I just remember the name of the level was GPT Engineer.
Engineer, yes.
Yeah. Was the name before they rebranded to level. Yeah, it was a very geek name. GPT. So maybe they were using ChatGPT at the beginning. Yeah, but
as
they
many people were
yeah,
doing at the time.
yeah, well, yeah. It was actually the ones that make accessible
That was
at the
the
first
technology.
at the first time. It was a nice rebrand actually, like from that to Lovable. I think
Brilliant. I have to, again,
I remember when they
very
changed the
brilliant.
name, they made a video, and it was a very nice video
They have
promoting
a
the.
very good growth team for sure. I'm always amazed, and they are very, very open. They truly embrace this thing that I was saying, that this is also nascent. Everything is so new. One thing that I love about Lovable is that they are really fast at picking up feedback from the users. So if we get someone in the community, or you get some traction in the community, people asking, "Oh, this should be a thing," I would bet that in 2-3 weeks that's actually being implemented. As people were saying, "Oh, what about an integration with Slack? What about an integration with Shopify? What about..." Done. And I have to say, and we are almost at the International Women's Day. They have this commitment with empowering women that I'm a really big fan of.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons why I actually wanted to connect myself with the brand, because they are empowering women to develop. Because we know that, still, if you look at startup founders and all of that, there's a big difference. There's a big gap in between men-founded, women-founded
Yes.
and men-founded companies. And they are trying to break that barrier. Again, it comes back to everything that we discussed, that if we reduce that inertia to start and to begin, man, you are able to start it, you are able to begin it, you are able to bootstrap something from your home, from your laptop. You can actually build a business. And then later on, okay, you can build and attach more security, attach more as you go along. But you can actually do some stuff, or actually save a couple of thousands just because you did the initial concept, it's working, and now you can reach out and make someone build that for you.
Yeah. That's so. As Lovable ambassador, what to? How I'll ask. Which use cases, or which do you have, for example, examples of people that create businesses around platform, or what information from someone that is inside you can share with us?
We do see a lot of examples in the community of people actually building stuff from the ground up, and we see that in EdTech. We have multiple cases in the community, people that actually build either schools, training software, because they were not happy with either Circle or whatever tool they were using, LMS. I was impressed. There was someone just vibe coded a full working LMS. I was like, it's a learning management system, by the way.
Yeah.
So, which is basically a school, an online school with everything that you need to have, with managing students, access, and recordings and content and all of that, and exams and certifications and all of that. She built everything on her own. She's like, okay, bravo. Okay. Some other person had some other needs, and they built it. So that's the magic that we are seeing, is that people are doing very, very different things. Now we two examples that I saw yesterday in the community, I was like, man, those are very different examples, but they are very, very cool. So one was someone built actually a tool. This is someone in the arts and cinema environment. So they built something as a way to have a library almost of immediate access to content. Okay, but we have IMDb for that. It's a more sophisticated version than that. Probably is pinging a IMDb for some of the data, but then the way it shows, it's very tailored to what that person felt that should be the right experience for a specific niche. Okay? And that's wow. Okay, you done it. Someone else in the community actually builds just a friendly example template provider for people that actually wanted to start vibe coding with Lovable.
Okay.
So it just built a site that has 10 small examples as samples.
Okay, as
so
a template
you become
for you to
comfortable
start.
with doing login information, connecting to Stripe and getting payments, doing whatever in the database. And I was like, man, people are doing all sorts of stuff. It's really, really exciting to see the creativity being put into fully operational fashion to build tangible stuff with the tool. That's the magic, right? And I think that's part of the sex appeal of these tools. It's that. But for instance, outside of Lovable, I was just talking with a former colleague of mine yesterday, and he is now a CTO of a company, of a smaller startup, and he was saying, man, I'm experimenting with this and this and this, and specifically Cloud Code was one of the things, and he says, I just did a migration that would take me 2 to 3 weeks if I would do it manually like a year ago. I did it in 36 hours. He said, I burned a few credits, a few tokens, sure, but still, if I put the math on top of the table, I spent maybe 200 euros worth of tokens and almost 2 days of work. But it's something
comparing
that would
to 2 weeks,
take me 3 weeks of work.
3 weeks.
Again, so these use cases and how we deploy technology like this. And again, he was able to do this because he was able to understand the need that he had and understood it. And then he just transformed it. And then it said, okay, now I have the structure. Now I just deploy the technology to fill in the blanks and make sure that I have this process running. And I was like, okay, cool. So we are seeing multiple examples of this. What I haven't seen yet, and full circle to the beginning of the conversation, what I haven't seen yet is I'm still waiting, or I'm still thinking I would love to be part of that transformation, that revolution, having the right new interfaces. Because to the conversation we were having at the beginning, so we still have the command line, man. I really want to say a bad word about it. It's like, freaking command lines again. And my feeling is that we are at that doorstep that we had when we went from DOS to Windows, you know, is that's my expectation, that we need to come to something that it's that leap that we had when we went from the DOS command line to the Windows interface, because it was a lot more natural for everyone, and it actually enabled a lot more people to interact with a personal computer. We need to have the same with this agentic and this Gen AI thing, that we need to have this leap of going from that very technical, geeky command line to something, again, to your point, for OutSystems, that you have a more oriented, object-oriented, I don't know, something that it's a lot more natural for non-technical people to be able to do even more with this type of technology.
When we talk about that new interface, the thing that always came to my mind, that I think we are much more close to that, is actually like the Iron Man Jarvis. Like like having not multiple points of interaction with the systems, not having multiple agents that now I'm in my computer, and I like, if you have a personalized agent, something that are present and I can talk and do things for me, that actually solve a lot of these interactions. Like, okay, I need to book a flight. Just I want to go to this place. Just find me flights for this. And some minutes later, Nelson, here it is a
The
list of flights. Nelson,
By
and
the way, don't
in
go
my
to Dubai now. Right?
yeah, in my phone or in my computer or wherever I will be connected to digital system.
That's the Omni.
Yeah,
Omni
like an
experience.
omni experience
Yeah, yeah.
of an agent that I can talk and
That's
can
something
do
that-
things for me.
Yeah.
I really believe that we are more close to something like this.
But that's why I like the project that we did with the concierge, because I do feel that that's the direction that we are heading, is that having that one touch point that then Omni manages everything, but still that entry point, what is that concierge?
Yeah.
Okay, we understand it's going to be either an agent or a group of agents in the back end, but to our point of the iceberg, like, what is going to be that interface? That's still the thing that I haven't braked yet, and I haven't figured out yet, but I know that smart people are going to break it out in the next.
I think that
couple
is
years.
related. The solution of that is not just the interface, I believe. I think is
It's
in
the
the
experience.
core, but I think is in the core of the system operative and the base of the digital systems. Like by the way, the way that the example of I was saying about the omnipresent agent, for him to be able to interact with me in the phone or in the computer or something, he need to be deep integrated with that systems and understand what I'm using. Now, for example, I just have the phone, the phone or the watch. It could just in the right moment send me the last update, or just imagine, just finish this podcast. When I will be alone, he just notify me. By the way, while you are in the podcast, you have these emails. This seems important. That kind of things.
My guess is that it's not going to be anything that we thought about now.
Yeah, maybe.
That if I had to bet my money on, is that it's going to be something very different. We haven't thought about it yet, but when we see it, it makes sense. Right? It's like when you see it and it's natural, you say, okay, this makes sense. Imagine, I had this experience with my kids. They were almost born with a tablet in their hands, right? So they know the interaction, they know if they touch a screen, what happens, and then that haptic experience of interacting with the touch screen, they are very familiar with. The first time they wanted to go to dad's lab and interact with the laptop, and I had this weird thing in my hand called a mouse to interact with the system. They were always trying to go to the screen to touch it because they didn't understand the connection between
the mouse and the
black stone that I had in my hand with the interactions that were happening in the screen. So for them it was really weird, and it took them a while to understand, and still they hate it. They hate it. My kids really hate the mouse interaction. They don't get it. It's very weird for them, and to the point that it's. I cried my heart laughing one of these days. Took my kid to the hospital just for a regular appointment, and we took the subway in Lisbon. Immediately, as she saw one of those big movies, so one of these big outdoor publicities, of course, it moved, but it was just like a mechanical system there, just showing.
It was not even a screen.
3 different blah 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 things, and she's starting to, Dad, it's broken. I was smiling. I was like, what do you mean? I'm touching and doesn't
work. It doesn't do nothing.
Doesn't do anything. I was like, okay. So that's what I mentioned. What I mean by, I do think that the next big interaction or field of interaction, it's something that probably we've seen it somewhere else, but we haven't connected with these type of interactions, right? And it's going to be very weird at the beginning, but then it becomes so natural. Like, when I first saw those new remote controls from Samsung that only have like 8 buttons or 7 buttons, my, of course, very educated guru thought was like, that's not going to work. What about the numbers? I'm missing the numbers there. Okay, I know that we have too many buttons in the normal remotes, but this is too, we went too lean. with that approach until I started using it. I was like, God damn, someone really smart did this. Like, because with only 7 buttons, 8 buttons, I don't know exactly the amount of buttons that we have in that remote, you can do everything. You don't need more buttons. So that's the beauty of it. And it's like, would you think about that same solution 6 months before you see it? No.
Yeah.
So my hope is that we can be part of that conversation and we be part of that transformation. And I do see that we are having some very interesting conversation with some potential customers and some actual customers, that we are developing these new forms of interaction that are, again, very disruptive, even so. But I do think that we can do better because we can actually do.
Yeah,
we just need the right environment to get to that interface, get to that. And when I say interface, you get what I'm saying. Is that the experience, the interaction? Let's call it the interaction. Okay, the right interaction that feels a lot more natural, and it's going to break all the gaps that we have in between us and some system that is going to help us doing blah, blah, blah. Because it's always interesting to see how people fear the systems, and we should have some mindful thoughts about whatever, but we have everything in our phones anyway today.
Yeah.
So should we go further? Should we do? I do think that we don't need to lose our humanity in the transformation, but we already have the means in a device that it's very closed walled garden in that piece of equipment. When that gets disrupted, we do need a different interaction, and that's going to change the way we communicate, interact, and have all of those interactions. But I do find it very interesting that whatever we think about it, the same concept comes up to mind, which is the concierge, right? So that experience that you mentioned about Iron Man, it was the butler, almost like, oh, you have your personal butler assistant that is providing that. That's, for me, tells me that there's a human need to have someone that you can actually connect to solve something, to have that experience with. So probably that's somewhere in the right direction that we are going to see something. But then what that interaction looks like, I am really excited to see.
Yeah, and it's actually different. For example, when we were talking about the interaction with voice. The interaction with voice just to prompting is like more weird. Like I'm just talking really to a machine. I'm just talking to type what I'm saying instead of typing. Interaction with the agent that talked me back. It became more natural. It's more natural that it's not that I'm talking to type my thing. Like I'm talking with something that answer me back and can have a natural conversation. Yeah, became more natural.
And it's interesting because just a few minutes ago you said him.
Yeah,
you addressed it as a personal.
Yeah,
right. So. And we are going to have those borderline interactions with the system.
Him or hit or
man, you can. I did that experiment again with my kids. I turned on the voice on ChatGPT, right? And I gave it a name, so they would interact with it. It got to a point that my girlfriend said, "I don't want this because it's getting freaky," because they were getting home and say, "Oh, can we speak with Manuel?" And I was like, and she's like, "Who's Manuel?" I was like, "Oh, it's Dad's phone." Because they were asking questions, because we were saying, but is it possible to blah, blah, blah? I said, "Oh, let me check." And and I started to have, let me try to see if they understand the interaction. Not only they understood it, they picked it up like that. For them, was so obvious that you can talk with that piece of hardware, and that piece of hardware talks back to you, and then all of a sudden it's your friend. Which, for me as a dad, I was like, I don't want you to find that is a person or a friend. But it was really natural. For me, like the psychologist person, the psychology major person in me, and a user experience and product person was like, for kids, this is supernatural.
Yeah.
So that generation for them is like
because
having
it's like we
those-
talk is the closest, is more natural to.
and they are used to. And
Yeah.
then I still remember my mom talking to the TV, right? Oh, don't do it! It's going to betray you, and all. And I was like, Mom, that's just a static thing, right? My question is it going to be the same in 10 years?
Mhm.
I'm starting to have really, really doubts that we don't get to that level of interaction in the next 5-10 years, that we actually speak with an interface and all of a sudden the content changes and the plot changes as we are speaking. It's like, yeah, because all of that, because we have Gen AI working, probably generating, as you say,
unlock
real time,
that potential.
whatever. And then you saw an episode of one series, I saw the same, but you said, oh no, but in mine I was like, oh, that didn't happen in mine. Interesting. Like, I'm really curious to see what the future lies.
Yeah, I'm good too, and I think it's a great takeaway here. So with a bunch of things that we talk here, we start on the iceberg again, but from the interface, the terminal actually. So the interface just disappeared on that. And the level prototype things, the things that became much easy to do, to explore, to try new things. The importance of user experience still.
Step back and understand the business.
And is getting easy to do it. So what we will be doing it now at the end, more talking about the future and it's just exploring. We were just exploring this sci-fi things, but that are getting not so
far away. I hope, because we are going to see a lot of cool interactions, and we've done a couple already that we can probably discuss right now. But really looking forward. Really looking forward.
Thank you, Ricardo.
Thank you for the invite.
Thank you. Bye-bye.